Hey everybody, I'm talking to you from a different location. This is my creative corner, and a lot of my members wanted to know um, more about the things that I make, and I made this top that I'm wearing and the blankets that are on the back of the chair, and so I just thought I'd share that with you. So, our lesson today is messages about love. Our goal is to increase our understanding of previously received messages about love and romantic relationships. So think about your definition of love and write it down on a piece of paper. The amazing thing to me is where we get our information from for how we define love. There are a lot of places that influence what we think love is. So, if we were in our classroom, we would have a paper up that had TV written on it. And in another location, we'd have movies. And another paper would say radio or songs. Another paper would say social media. But now, when I was a child and I was your age, social media didn't exist. And then the last one would be current events and news. So, what we want you to do is think about the messages about love that you get from these 5 different areas. And if we were in the room, we'd have you walk to each paper and write down something, a message you have gotten from these different areas. So, you can do that on your piece of paper, and we want you to be specific. So if you're going to do TV first and you want to write down what particular show and then the example that the show gave you as to what love means. And I don't know if you realize, but songs help us define love because the majority of songs are about love. And so we get a lot of information that way. And after we write down the different messages about love we have gotten in these different areas, I'll say them again: TV, movies, radio or songs, social media, and current events or news. In the classroom, we would share with each other our messages that we have gotten and see how much they're like from the messages other people have gotten or how different they are. What I want you to think about is how much these different messages have impacted your definition of love and your understanding of what love is. And maybe you can also see how your definition or understanding of love, how it has changed in the last couple of years. So, and there's all kinds of love. We're trying to talk about romantic love. What we want you to do as well, and I'm sorry there's a lot of writing in this class today. We want you to think about the messages about love that you have gotten from relatives, grandparents and elders, friends, teachers and coaches, religious or spiritual leaders, and other. So we would have passed out this paper to you. I don't know if you can see it. And have you write in the different squares the messages of love you have gotten from these different areas. So go ahead and write it on the paper you have. And even if you're like messages from relatives, even if they're different from each other, say an aunt gives you one kind of message and an uncle gives you a different one, grandparents give you another idea of what love is or should be. Um, you can put the differing messages on there as well. And then we want you to look over those messages. How are they similar? How are they different? It's okay to have different messages in the same box. And if you don't want to fill a box in or write down something from one of those groups, you don't have to. In the box that's labeled other, you can write like another person. That might be a good box to put the messages from media that you've gotten that we already put on our paper. You can put them in that group. And after you have finished writing all of those down, normally in the class we would share these things, those that want to share. But we want you to reflect on how these people have helped you come up with your definition of love. So, how are the messages you receive from family and friends similar and or different from each other? And are they different from the messages you get from the media, from movies, from songs? Does everybody tell you the very same thing? I think you'll find that you get many different messages from all the different places. So how do you figure out which messages you agree with and which messages you should pay attention to? Some of that has to do with how much you trust the person and how you see their definition of love reflected in their life. So if they have a certain definition of love and their life is full of love and everything seems wonderful, then you might want to adopt part of that definition in your own life. Think about what kind of message you would like to give to a younger brother or sister or cousin or friend. We're all giving messages to each other all the time. So the last activity that we have that we would be doing in the classroom was we would have you get in groups and look at an advertisement or TV clip or movie clip or maybe the lyrics of a song, and we would have you decide what kind of message of love or about love that you see in that piece of advertisement. Do you think that the media producer chose the messages? And do you think they believe the messages that they have given? Do you think they believe those messages themselves? Do you consider these messages positive or negative, and why? And do you think that the message influences other people's understanding of love and romantic relationships? Sometimes there's a message of love given in an advertisement for something that's not even about love. But you see a happy family interacting together and it looks really wonderful. And you can tell that they care about each other, but they're advertising some product that has nothing to do with love. So we want you to really pay attention so that you understand where your definition of love is coming from. And I hope that you all are doing great at home and everything is going well for you. Thank you. Have a good day.